Remember all that buzz about AI writing poems and stuff? Yeah, well, get ready, because we're going way past that today.
It's pretty amazing to see where things are going.
We're diving deep into what's called agentic AI. So it's not just AI making content, it's AI taking action.
It really is a fascinating evolution.
Yeah.
We've gone from thinking of AI like a calculator to AI as the strategic problem solver.
Okay, so help me wrap my head around that. What does that actually look like? I get the taking action part. It's one thing for AI to process information, but it's a whole other thing for it to actually make decisions based on that.
Right. And businesses are seeing huge gains. Like we're talking 20 to 40% increases in efficiency and sometimes way more.
Whoa, hold on. Those numbers are impressive. So this isn't like some sci-fi future thing. This is happening now.
It's happening right now.
Oh,
Like take Walmart, for example.
okay.
They were losing billions of dollars every year in wasted inventory. So they brought in an agentic AI system to help manage all of that.
Yeah.
And it didn't just crunch numbers.
So it wasn't just predicting what might sell. It was actually doing something about it.
Exactly. This AI was actually adjusting orders on the fly, like in real time, based on all kinds of things like sales trends, weather forecasts, you name it. It was actually making decisions that directly impacted their stock.
That's wild. So what kind of impact did that actually have?
The results were pretty substantial. They were able to reduce waste by 30% and saw a 15% improvement in stock accuracy.
Wow. That is a huge win, especially when you think about how big Walmart is.
It is. It is.
Okay, so that's one example. What other kinds of applications are we seeing out there?
Well, let's look at manufacturing.
Yeah.
Think about a company like Siemens, a giant in manufacturing.
Yeah, okay.
They put in an AI-powered visual inspection system on their production lines.
Yeah.
But this wasn't just about following a set of pre-programmed rules or anything.
So it wasn't just looking for specific defects. It was actually learning and adapting as it went.
Exactly. It was learning from the data that it collected and actually refining its own ability to spot defects. It was constantly getting smarter.
So the AI was developing its own expertise. That is really interesting. So what kind of impact did that have on their operations?
Well, they saw a 90% reduction in manual inspections, a 50% increase in production speed, and they were able to catch 23% more defects.
Wow.
It's really changing how we think about quality control.
Yeah, it sounds like it's making those processes way more efficient. Okay, but how does this actually work? We keep talking about these results, but what's going on behind the scenes?
Well, agentic AI really mirrors how we solve problems as humans. It follows a framework of perception, decision, and then action. So first the AI has to, kind of perceive the situation, understand the goals.
Okay, so setting the stage, giving the AI the context it needs.
Right. And then it gathers information and figures out what needs to be done.
Okay.
Then it moves into the decision phase, where the AI evaluates all the different options, considers risks, weighs the pros and cons, and then picks the best course of action.
So that's the intelligence part, right? It's making judgments and choosing a path forward.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then finally, you've got the action phase where the AI actually executes that solution that it's chosen, making adjustments, carrying out tasks, all without a human having to step in.
So it's a complete loop from understanding the problem to implementing the solution.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this whole framework, it sounds really complex, but is this something that people who aren't tech experts can actually use?
That's what's so exciting about this. Agentic AI is changing how we develop things. It's really cutting down the time and cost of building something called a minimum viable product.
Oh, an MVP. Yeah, it's basically like a very basic version of a product that lets startups test out their ideas quickly and efficiently. And traditionally, building them required huge engineering teams and a lot of resources. But with agentic AI, even founders who aren't tech experts can bring their ideas to life faster and more affordably.
That's a game changer for startups.
It is.
It really levels the playing field so anyone with a great idea can test it out and build something without needing a huge tech team behind them.
Yeah, it really opens up a lot of possibilities for innovation and creativity.
So let's talk about the tools that are actually making this happen. You mentioned some key players in the research that you did.
Right.
Let's start with Replit. What makes this one stand out?
Replit focuses on what's called autonomous code development.
Right.
So imagine a development environment that actually helps software teams produce code much faster and more efficiently.
So how much faster are we talking?
We're talking 40% faster development cycles.
Whoa. Okay, that is a lot of time saved.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about Cursor AI? Where does that fit in?
Cursor AI. Oh, it's like a dream come true for developers. It's an intelligent development environment that helps developers write better code, and even more importantly, it makes debugging much more efficient.
So it's not just writing the code, it's making sure that the code actually works and is clean.
That's right. And the research mentions something like a 30% reduction in debugging time,
Wow.
which is huge.
Yeah. For any developer, that's a huge amount of time saved.
It really frees them up to focus on the more creative and strategic parts of their work.
Absolutely. Okay, so last but not least, we have Runway ML. What makes that tool so exciting, especially for content creators?
Well, Runway ML is all about automating content creation, especially when it comes to video.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like having a team of virtual editors and animators at your fingertips.
Okay.
It can do things like edit videos, add special effects, even generate entire video sequences automatically.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a whole production studio powered by AI.
It really is.
Yeah.
It can cut down content production time by like 60%.
Wow. That's incredible. So it really seems like agentic AI is not only transforming the way businesses operate, but also the way we as individuals work. But I know a lot of people are thinking, is this going to take my job?
That's a natural thing to think about, for sure.
Yeah.
But this is really about jobs evolving, not disappearing.
Okay.
Agentic AI allows us to kind of amplify our own capabilities and focus on higher level tasks.
So it's not about robots replacing humans. It's about humans and robots working together.
That's right. So, for example, instead of a developer spending their time on tedious tasks like debugging code all the time, they become like AI development strategists.
Oh.
They're collaborating with AI, focusing on the bigger picture, finding more creative solutions.
So it's using AI to amplify our skills and expertise. That makes a lot of sense. What about other roles? Like, what about marketers or managers? How might things change for them?
Well, marketers, once they're freed from all the content production stuff, they can become creative directors, focusing on the overall strategy, brand vision, that kind of thing. And managers, well, they won't be bogged down by routine tasks anymore.
Right.
So they become more like automation orchestrators.
So they're focusing on making their teams as efficient and effective as possible, really taking advantage of AI to streamline things.
Exactly. And they can spend more time on things like team development, strategic decision-making, building really agile and adaptable organizations.
So it's really redefining what it means to be a developer, a marketer, a manager. This is like a whole new way of thinking about work.
It really is. And the biggest takeaway here is that this isn't just about technology. It's about people and how we adapt, learn new skills, and really embrace this new way of working.
This is super exciting, but I imagine it can also be a bit overwhelming. Where do you even start? This is a lot to take in.
It is a lot, you're right. The key is to start small.
Okay.
And focus on one specific process that you think could benefit from agentic AI.
Okay.
Choose something that's like really manual right now, or that takes up a lot of time or is prone to errors.
So like the examples we talked about, like Walmart with inventory or Siemens with quality control. Find something that's a pain point and see if AI can help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But before you even start playing with the tools, set some clear goals. Figure out how you're going to measure your success.
Okay.
Think back to those results that we talked about. Use those as benchmarks. Don't just play around with new tech for the sake of it. Aim for real improvement.
So be intentional, be strategic.
Right. And document everything. This is a learning process. So keep track of what works, what doesn't, any surprises along the way.
That's a great point.
All that will become super valuable as you fine-tune your approach.
So we've picked our process, we've set our goals, we're ready to start experimenting. What comes next?
Well, maybe the most important step is to invest in training for your team. This isn't just about you. It's about making sure everyone understands agentic AI and how to use these tools effectively.
So build a culture of learning and collaboration around AI, make sure everyone is on board and ready to go.
Exactly. Partner with experts, create some training programs, start with some online courses, make sure everyone is on the same page and comfortable with this new way of working.
Awesome. It sounds like we're building a team of like AI-powered superheroes.
That's a great way to put it. And then as your team starts to get more comfortable with the tools and you start to see those positive results, you can start to scale up your efforts, share your success stories, build on what works, and constantly adapt.
So it's a never-ending cycle of learning, experimenting, and refining our approach to agentic AI. It really sounds like a super exciting time to be working in this space.
It really is. We're on the verge of a major transformation here, and the possibilities are endless. It really is a remarkable time.
It feels like we're just at the beginning of something huge, but, let's bring it back down to earth for a second. What does this actually look like on a day-to-day basis? Like, how do you actually integrate this into your workflow?
Well, let's say you're I don't know, a marketing manager and you're just drowning in content creation.
Okay.
You've got blog posts, social media updates, email newsletters. It never ends.
Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are probably feeling that right now.
Right. And it's draining. It
Uh,
keeps you from doing the more strategic thinking that you probably want to be doing.
totally.
So you decide, okay, I'm going to try out this agentic AI.
Okay.
And you start by picking a specific task, something that's really eating up your time.
Okay.
Maybe it's writing all those social media posts.
So start small. Pick one thing.
Exactly, one thing, and you set a clear goal, something that you can measure.
Okay.
So let's say you want to cut the time you spend on those social media posts in half, like by 50%.
Okay, ambitious. But yeah, if these tools are as good as we're hearing, it should be doable, right?
Right. So you choose a tool that fits that task. Maybe you try out Runway ML, the one we talked about earlier, or maybe another platform that's specifically for social media content.
Okay, so we've got the process, we've got our goal, we've got our tool. What's next? Do we just let the AI run wild?
Well, not quite. Remember, we need to track our progress. So even before you start using the tool, start keeping track of how much time you're spending on those social media posts right now.
Okay, so get our baseline.
That's your baseline, yeah.
All right, so that's like our before picture.
Yeah.
And then we can compare that to the after once we've got the AI working.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And then as you start using the AI,
Sure.
track how long it's taking to generate that content, how much editing you have to do, that kind of thing.
So we can actually see if we're hitting that 50% goal.
Yeah.
We're holding the AI accountable.
Right. And as you're going through this, you're learning.
Yeah.
You're figuring out how to use the tool the right way, what works, what doesn't work.
Okay.
You're constantly fine-tuning.
It's a learning curve, but it sounds kind of fun. Like you're almost collaborating with the AI to figure out the better way to work.
That's a great way to think about it. And, that's where the skills development piece that we talked about earlier really comes into play. You might realize that, you need to brush up on your understanding of, AI-generated content.
Right.
Or learn some new ways to work with this particular tool.
So it's not just about learning how to use a specific piece of software. It's like learning a whole new set of skills for working with AI in general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you start to feel more comfortable with the tool and you start to see those positive results,
Yeah.
then you can start to scale things up, Maybe automate even more of your social media tasks or experiment with different types of content. Apply what you've learned to other areas of your marketing work.
So like a ripple effect, you start with one small change and it kind of transforms your whole approach.
Yeah, yeah. And this same approach can be applied across all kinds of industries and professions. It's really about finding those areas where agentic AI can make a difference, setting your goals, experimenting, learning, and adapting as you go.
This is really starting to feel like we're looking at the future of work.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but let's be real. There's got to be some challenges here. What are some of the potential downsides of agentic AI?
Well, we need to remember that agentic AI, just like any technology, isn't a magic solution for everything.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest challenges is just how fast things are changing.
Yeah.
This technology is evolving so quickly,
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
It is. And all that rapid change can lead to a lot of uncertainty and anxiety.
Right.
For employees who are worried about their jobs, for leaders who are trying to figure out how to navigate this new landscape, it's a lot.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about the people and how we manage this transition.
Exactly. And I think that's where open communication and a commitment to continuous learning are just so essential.
Okay.
Leaders need to create a culture where it's okay to experiment, where people feel supported as they're learning these new skills.
So create a sense of shared purpose, make sure everyone feels like they're part of this, not being left behind.
Right. And it's important to acknowledge that there are also some bigger societal implications to consider as this technology becomes more widespread.
I'm curious about that. Like, what are some of the bigger picture things that we should be thinking about?
Well, I think one of the key things is just making sure that we're using and developing this technology responsibly.
Okay.
We need to establish some clear guidelines and ethical frameworks to make sure that this powerful technology is used for good.
So it's not just about what AI can do, it's about what it should do.
Exactly. And that means that, businesses, policymakers, researchers, everyday people, we all need to be involved in this conversation.
So it's not just a tech issue, it's a societal issue. It's about having these discussions, considering different perspectives, and figuring out how to make sure this technology is used to benefit everyone.
Right. We need to be asking some tough questions like how do we make sure these AI systems aren't biased? How do we make sure that everyone has access to the benefits of this technology? How do we protect our privacy and security in this new AI-driven world?
Yeah, these are big questions, and it sounds like there aren't any easy answers.
No, it's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
It's a dialogue that's constantly evolving, and it's a conversation that needs to be happening now, not later.
Right.
The choices that we make today are really going to shape the future of this technology and ultimately the future of work.
That's a lot to think about, but it also feels kind of empowering.
Right.
It's a reminder that we're not just along for the ride.
Or not.
We actually have a voice, we have agency, and we can help decide how this technology is developed and used.
Absolutely. We're not just passengers here, we're in the driver's seat. And by having these conversations, by speaking up for responsible development, by really committing to that idea of lifelong learning, we can create a future where agentic AI empowers us all.
We've covered so much in this deep dive into agentic AI.
We have.
What it is, how it works, all those tools that are shaping things, and even some of the challenges and opportunities it brings.
Right.
But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture for a second.
Okay.
What does all this actually mean for us, for our work, for society as a whole?
That's a big question.
It is.
And I think, one of the biggest things about agentic AI is that it's changing what work even is.
Okay.
It's blurring the lines between what humans can do and what machines can do.
Right.
It's making us rethink our roles, the skills we need, even how we define success.
So it's not just about automating a few tasks here and there. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about work altogether.
It is. And that gives us some amazing opportunities, but also some real challenges.
Okay, like what?
Well, on the one hand, we have this chance to create a world where work is more fair and more fulfilling.
Yep.
A world where people are freed from all those boring, repetitive tasks and can focus on things they're actually good at and passionate about.
That sounds pretty amazing.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But then, we also have to be realistic about the potential downsides.
Right.
If we're not careful, this technology could actually make existing inequalities worse and create new kinds of social and economic problems.
So it's a tool, like any tool, can be used for good or bad.
Right.
And it's up to us to make sure we're using it the right way.
Absolutely. And that's why these kinds of discussions are so important.
Yeah.
We need to raise awareness, we need to be critical, and we need to have open conversations about how this is all going to play out.
It's not just enough to use the technology. We need to actually shape how it develops.
We do.
And make sure it aligns with our values.
Right. And that's going to take all of us working together.
Okay.
It's going to take collaboration between companies, governments, schools, everyone.
So it's a collective effort.
It is. We need to invest in research, develop some ethical guidelines, and educate ourselves and future generations about the potential and also the risks of this technology.
This sounds like a call to action for everyone, not just people in tech or business.
It is. You're right. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of agentic AI, whether it's learning more about it, speaking up about how it should be developed, or just having conversations like this one with our friends and family.
It all makes a difference.
It all makes a difference. We can all contribute to making sure this tool is used to benefit humanity.
That's a great point. In the research that you did, something that really stuck with me was that, quote, the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to start learning now.
Yeah, I love that quote. That's really what it's all about.
It really is.
This isn't about becoming some kind of AI expert overnight.
Right.
It's about being curious. Taking that first step and seeing where it leads.
So for our listeners out there, what would you suggest as a first step?
Well, ask yourself, what's one thing in my work that could be way better with agentic AI?
Okay.
And then go do some research, try out some tools, see what happens. You might be surprised by what you find.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Right.
Absolutely not. There's a whole community of people out there who are excited about this, eager to share what they know, and ready to work together.
So connect with others, ask questions, and don't be afraid to make some mistakes along the way.
Right. That's how we learn.
Exactly. Who knows? You might be one of the people who helps shape the future of this incredible technology.
You might.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of agentic AI with us. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more deep dives into the most interesting and important topics of our time. And remember, the future is out there waiting to be shaped, so let's dive in together.